Shocking new analysis has revealed that judges have overturned Home Office decisions and allowed asylum seekers to stay in the UK in 51% of cases since 2021. In one case, an immigration judge ruled that a convicted sex offender could remain in the UK because he'd be at risk of mob violence in his home country of Afghanistan. A Bangladeshi man who was locked up for 12 years for murdering his wife successfully appealed the Home Office's decision to remove him by arguing that his conversion to Christianity would put him at risk in Bangladesh. Sound familiar, anyone? The Home Office data also shows that from 2011, more than 50,000 people who were refused asylum have remained in the UK illegally. OK, 50,000 people who we have refused asylum have just remained in the UK illegally. Welcome to the show now, Director of Migration Watch UK. It's Mike Jones. Mike, great to see you. Look, what do you make of this? These numbers are stark. We're not deporting anyone, really, are we?
Figures are shocking. I mean, the most fundamental question in asylum policy or illegal migration policy is if somebody enters your country illegally, or if they apply for asylum and they're refused, can you deport them? That's the most fundamental question. Now, in the vast majority of cases, the answer to that question is no, we can't deport them. There are some exceptions. The reason why the number of Albanians crossing the English Channel illegally has declined is because we have a returns policy with that country. But in most cases, countries are deemed unsafe. We can't deport them to their country of origin.
And I think many people will want to know, how on earth have we managed to have 50,000 people who we have refused asylum to just wandering the streets of Britain, living here? Will they still be claiming benefits? If they're not claiming benefits, presumably they're living a life of crime and wandering around the streets. It's just incredibly disturbing, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it goes back to the legal system that we have. There's the legal aspect and there's the operational aspect. Essentially, for the asylum system to function properly, you need a legal system that allows you to deport people to their country of origin. So we have the Human Rights Act that enshrines the European Convention of Human Rights into British law. We have what's called the principle of non-refoulement. So if somebody is here from an unsafe country, you can't actually deport them to their country of origin. It's very difficult to do this. My personal view is I think this legislation is out of date, it's not fit for purpose. I believe it's de-democratized the asylum system. I don't believe the state can perform its proper duties in terms of enforcing border controls. And yeah, it needs to be changed, but politicians, unfortunately, won't address this.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, someone who's, would be at risk of mob violence in his home country of Afghanistan, a convicted sex offender. I mean, what I want to know is, where are all the Afghan women who we should be letting in? Where are all the Afghan children who are fleeing these people? Why is it that we are getting Afghan sex offenders instead and then having to keep them? It doesn't really seem fair.
Yeah, I mean, I received a phone call recently from a member of the public, and they referred to a story in the Daily Telegraph, and four Afghan illegal immigrants were being tried for sex offences. And, his argument was, well, the lawyers focus on their human rights, but what about the human rights of the victims? And, there's a huge trade-off here. I think the legal system as currently constituted is incompatible with national security and the democratic will of the British people.
Yeah, I mean, there appears to be very little point in even trying to get rid of anybody at the minute. So let's assume, or we don't have to assume, we know that quite a lot of people are just granted asylum first time around anyway. So let's take them out of it. Then of the people who are rejected, half of those are then granted asylum at the second attempt. If you're in the case of Abdullah Zidi, for example, you may be granted it. at the third attempt. And then of those people who we have decided to categorically refuse asylum to, which will be a fraction, really, of all of those people who initially came over here, 50,000 of them are still wandering around in the streets, living in Britain. It is an absolute joke. Dr. Mike, thank you very, very much. It's always great to have you on the show. It's Dr. Mike Jones there of Migration Watch UK. Now, a Home Office spokesperson said this: "We stand firm on our long-standing policy that those without a right to stay in the UK will be removed. Our Illegal Migration Act makes this possible, as people who enter the UK illegally will have their asylum claims and human rights claims declared inadmissible. Each asylum application is individually assessed, including decisions on removal of individuals. Where people have previously been refused asylum in the UK, a fresh asylum claim can be made through legal representation."